Nashville, Tennessee, ABCA. I know everyone is so excited to be back here, and I am now joined by Ryan Brownlee, the man with a million titles. This man does so much for ABCA. The Assistant Executive Director, though, is your main title. An amazing honor, I'm sure, to be able to be in charge of so many different levels here. But to start in Nashville, it's only my second time at an ABCA event. What excites you about being back here?
Thanks for having me, Danny. I told the youth stage group this morning, this is my sixth time here through either coaching or the ABCA. My second convention was here, I think in 2000. But to see where we're at now, I've been an ABCA member for 26 years, so it's gratifying. My dad's been a 48-year member. It's just really gratifying to see where we're at now as an organization.
When you walk around and you see the amount of vendors, the amount of people, the coaches, what comes to mind?
I get emotional about it because we invest so much time. This is a 12-month process for our office, and there's only 8 full-time people in our office. So for 8 people with an intern to be able to pull off something like this, it's gratifying. And you drink from the fire hose for about 3 straight days, which is good, but that's what you sign up for. People are like, how do you do it? I'm like, well, if you don't want that, don't take the job. Like every job is you sign up for something with that job. So if you don't want that, then don't take the job. So,
are you fueled by coffee at least?
I have a pretty set routine that I do. Okay. I even try to get up and work out. I meditate in the morning, so I pack a lunch. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I have no time to eat lunch. Yeah. So I'll pack, it's like coaching again. I'm packing peanut butter and jelly, fruit, granola, I try to eat about every 2 to 3 hours if I can.
There's got to be some parallels, yes, between what you are doing and coaching, like you said, 2+ decades with experience in that role. What are the parallels? How do each other, those jobs help?
It's the excitement. Yeah. This and then our Barnstormers events remind me of coaching because you still get that anxiety, you get those butterflies because we are in the community, we're in the service industry. Yeah. So you want everybody to have a good time, and I think we do a great job, which is why you're going to see 8,000 people here with 360 vendors because we do a good job with our customer service. 8,000
people, like you said, the amount of vendors that are here. What does that tell you about the state of baseball?
I think we've done some tremendous things to include everyone. We have a diversity committee now. We have a youth and travel committee. We started a youth and travel service award. So Kenny Fullman, who started the ACE program in Chicago, he was our travel service award winner this year. And then Jim Peck, 60 years, was at the Excelsior Legion in Minnesota. If anybody's been to the Gopher Classic, they know Excelsior Legion. So Jim Peck was our Youth Service Award winner. And I think it shows that we are paying attention to those. And that's where our biggest growth has been with our membership. 62% of our membership is our high school youth and travel coaches. Wow. So that's a large part. And because of all the other things, we've started a youth stage. That's happened for the last 4 years. We had 1,100 seats in that youth stage presentation. It's been full, which is crazy to see. We have 6,500 seats in the main stage area, and then we have to add overflow. We can't fit everybody in the main stage area, so we have to have overflow areas for people to be able to watch if they get boxed out of the main stage area.
How does that make you feel to be able to say that?
It's wild. It is. I remember coming here, when I came to Nashville in probably 2000, there was probably 2,000 coaches here, and what it was back then, it was a 1-for-1. So if somebody was coming to the convention, they were going to sign up for an ABCA membership. That's not the case. We have 8,000 here, but we're probably going to be at 15,000 members here at the end of the year, which is crazy to think that we're going to be twice as many members as attendees for the convention.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I that's exciting for me too. You like to see that growth, especially at the youth level, the grassroots level, where I think a lot of that hard work is done to see the fruits of your labor at the higher levels, and you are involved in all different levels. So walk me through what some of your favorite parts of your job are.
Honestly, here, the rookie mentorship thing that we do Thursday night, it's for first-time coaches, but we have long-time coaches in there. Paul Blanchard's the head coach at Southwest Minnesota. Started it 9 years ago, but we had a great panel this year. Spencer Allen, who's with the Brewers, Bianca Smith, Richard Cantor, who's a sports agent, Clay Cox, a junior college coach, and then Todd Interdonato, who's head coach at Wofford. We try to spread it around because what we want to show is there's many paths in the game of baseball, and that's what's great about the baseball industry. You don't necessarily have to coach either, too, and I'm a good example of that. I coached Division I for 22 years, but I've been with the ABCA for 4 years now. I still coach a little bit on the youth side, but not much. But we're just trying to show the people in the room that, hey, there's a bunch of different paths. But then you realize how many people you know in the baseball community when you
Yeah.
show up here and how small it actually is.
Yeah.
And Dr. Eric Corum just spoke. He worked for the NFL for a long time. He's talking about the difference of the baseball convention compared to some of the other conventions and how willing people are to share. But our convention is different because we kick off people's seasons.
Yeah.
You know, the other conventions are postseason.
That's right.
It's a little rougher on the coaches. They've just gotten through a whole season. Maybe you've just gotten fired. And so
Yeah.
way different than ours. We really are the kickoff to the baseball season for everybody.
When a first-time coach comes to this event, or someone who's at home right now, knowing all their friends, all their coaching friends are here, what would you say to them to maybe entice them or make them feel more comfortable coming to something this large now?
And that's the rookie mentorship meeting.
Yeah.
But we have the live stream option, and that's helped as well. You know,
Okay.
you look at COVID, there were some really cool things that came out of COVID,
Sure.
and the live stream piece is one of those. We have great technology with that, so even if you can't get here, you still feel like you're part of it because you can watch it on your screen.
Over the last couple of years, through the pandemic and then the year after, and just really kind of getting back to what is the new normal, what have you learned about the growth of the game and how it's changed?
I think COVID tightened everybody up.
Yeah.
You know, everybody was looking for stuff to do. Our office got shut down. I had to go back to Illinois. I was recording the podcast from the basement in Illinois. We were running webinars, so we're trying to run that from our houses and in the basement, and it's wild. So it brought everybody together.
Yeah.
I got a ton of friends out of this that are speaking. We started an outfield Zoom chat that was not associated with the ABCA. We did it for 10 weeks,
Love
but we had
that.
Darren Fenster. We had all these big-time coaches on there. And that's the neat thing about the baseball community is you can come here, and if you see Tim Corbin or if you talk to them, they're going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because they were in that position. I
Yeah.
think Coach Corbin tells a great story. He was a high school coach his first convention here. He came, and he felt like he wasn't good enough to be a baseball coach and he thought about quitting.
Wow.
But then he had a coach actually connect with him, and that's why he started to come back, because of one coach made a connection with him, made him feel better.
Yeah.
And so that's the great thing about here. Even if you're a first timer and you don't know anybody, if you show up here, you're going to make some connections, and we'll bring you in. And this is for everybody. You know, there's enough room in the pool for everybody. You look around, you've got multiple competing industries here within the baseball industry, but we're for everybody.
I had this exact same conversation earlier this week with somebody, and I said, this is why I do love baseball so much, because there isn't anybody whose ego is getting in the way. That doesn't really exist at any level in baseball. It really is like one for each other. And, you know, I think we've seen a lot right now in the NFL when they speak about the brotherhood and what happened with DeMar Hamlin. And that is exactly what exists here in baseball as well. You come to this event, you're going to meet somebody. You can walk up to any coach you want, any division, no matter who they are, and that coach is going to take the time with you. And that's why I love the sport so much.
And baseball is going to humble you, and I think that's a natural byproduct of the coaching industry in baseball. If you're not humble,
Yeah.
you're not going to last long in this
Yeah.
game. You're just not. You look at the coaches, male, female, whoever that's been in this industry for a long time, they're going to be humble because it ends up weeding those people out, just like the game's going to do that. The game's going to humble you. Same thing with the coaching industry and the baseball industry. If you're not humble, it's going to end up weeding you out.
You have created so many great relationships. That's exactly what we're talking about
Yeah.
right now, in and out of baseball. How have those shaped your life and your path?
I grew up around it. My dad moved us to Evansville in 1979, so he was the head baseball coach at Evansville for 23 years, and then Illinois State for 7. I came to my first convention when I was 12 years old in New Orleans, and Ron Maestri is a Hall of Famer. I saw Coach Maestri yesterday,
Wow.
and I met Coach Maestri when I was 12 years old, and it's great to see the little kids running around.
Yes.
Because once they get here and see what it is, like, you're creating future coaches or just baseball fans. And that's what we're trying to do with our youth and travel committees. Taylor McCullough and Taylor McCullough and Rob
Yeah.
Haney have done a tremendous job. We're growing the game from the bottom up, and we've got to try to find a way to help youth baseball and also travel baseball come together, because if we don't, we're going to lose participants.
Yeah.
You look now, we have 4 million kids that play baseball. When they get to the big field, it's 2 million.
Okay.
So if we can help with participation,
Yeah.
maybe you cut that in half to where now you have 3 million kids playing on the big field. That grows up to high school, college, and then professional baseball too. So we really got to try to grow this thing from the ground up.
Okay, so that's one point of emphasis. You shared that there's a state of baseball meeting
Yeah.
that happens before this. What did you learn from that?
The big thing now is Division I. You know, the Division I guys, they take over that. They have a lot going on right now. You know, there's so much conjecture with what the NCAA is going to do, but we won't know anything until January 14th. They're going to come out with their recommendations on January 14th. So everybody hold tight till the 14th, and then we're going to feel. But it's cool because then you go to Division II, they have different challenges. Division III has different challenges. NAI, junior college, youth, travel, high school, they all have different challenges. So it's cool to listen to everybody talk, but that brings everybody closer together too.
What's your hope in the next 5 years for baseball at any level right now? What do you really hope? What changes do you hope to see?
I would really just like to see people be less combative on social media. I mean, that's a big one for me in that youth, especially the hitting and pitching space. I would really like to see people be less combative and have open and honest and confrontational conversations.
Okay.
You lose that piece with technology. When you read text, it comes across extremely harsh. So I think people need to take a step back, take a deep breath, really look at the content rather than the voice that you're hearing in your head. That's my hope, that we can continue to come together as a group and really grow and be able to handle an honest and open and confrontational conversation and know that we're not mortal enemies. If we disagree on something that doesn't make us mortal enemies, we can agree to disagree and still be friends and still have a relationship.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so good. And I see that sometimes on social media too. And at the end of the day, it's about the kids, right? It's about growing the game, whether they're just a fan or they're going to come play the sport. I like that a lot. As far as, go ahead.
And there's some long-term athlete development pieces of that.
Yeah.
The more kids that we can get to play and continue to play, you're setting up lifelong people that want to stay active, that are going to stay healthier. We want to keep kids in any sport continue to go. But then the byproduct of that is they are going to give back. And for coaches out there, especially the youth coaches, your main job is to make sure that they're going to play next year, because the more that you can do that and the better experience they have, not every kid's going to play high school baseball, college baseball, professional baseball, but if they have a good taste in their mouth with a youth coach, they're going to want to give back to the game at some point. I think all of us still are in this industry because of the youth coaches that we had at a young age that kept us in it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I talk about my high school coach all the time and what he did for me and how he shaped my life. You mentioned the fan, right? We don't know if the kid will go play in high school or college, but is that...
even just playing catch with their kid in the backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big piece of it. If they have a good feeling about baseball, they're going to want to introduce it to that next generation. So, yes, let's go play catch.
Do you feel a responsibility for all of baseball to ensure that those kids, boys and girls, are staying in the game in some capacity? Yeah,
I mean, you look at our youth stage now, we have females on there, we have minorities. You know, that's the cool thing for me. This is the greatest time to be a female in the baseball industry, and we still have a long way to go. I'm not saying we've got this thing cracked and fixed. We don't. We have a long way to go, but when you look around, we are way more inclusive than when I first got into this thing.
That's nice to see.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing more women here in all capacities, especially on the coaching side. I know that's coming to these levels.
Those are some of our best coaches. I talk about this with my brother all the time. If a female makes it to college or pro, they're going to be light years better because that's the only way they get that opportunity.
Sure.
So for anybody that's like, why are they? If they are in that position, they earned it way more than probably a man had to earn it.
Yeah. That is. That's a great point. That's very well said. The last one I did want to ask you, you've mentioned your family a lot, your dad and brother, Jim and Tim. How about mom? How about the women in your life who have shaped you?
I'm going to get emotional.
You're okay.
My mom's everything to me.
Yeah.
She is. Yeah. Growing up around the game, and for anybody that had a college coach, they're not around that much, so my mom is everything to me. But the great thing about my mom is she cultivated other things. Theater, music, arts, which in a roundabout way helps me now because running a podcast and being able to speak and all of that stuff. And my mom and dad live in Pensacola now, but I think you look at the men that are in the baseball industry, I think the common theme for them is they have a strong woman in there that raised them, that was in their life. I think to a person, they had a strong female representative in their life.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, you are so important. It's what we do at Perfect Game, but also I know for ABCA, such a great voice and what you're sharing. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for having us here.
Yes.
This is amazing.
It's great to see everybody.
And we'll see you next year, I hope. Yeah.
Thanks, Danny.
Okay.